Today, some of the world's major digital music services are building large businesses on the back of creativity while paying next to nothing in return. This is not fair. It is a market distortion, and it is holding back growth in the creative sector. These words by Jean-Michel Jarre, a content maker and the president of CISAC. CISAC is the global organization for authors' rights around the world.
I didn't know that. I just know his music. I didn't know his...
He's a very innovative guy. He started, you can call him the father of electronic music, I think so. And right now he's leading the fight on the topic that I'm going to talk about right now. We don't have to agree with him about this, but in the next few minutes I'll dive into the world of the transfer of value. Today we're going to spend some time looking at the industry's economy through the eyes of a content creator. May they be musicians, videographers, and even people with funny cats. We'll try to quickly go through and prove some of the basic assumptions, realize the problem, and maybe talk about the solution. During the talk, numbers will fly from the screen, most of them from the past 2 or 3 years. Some of the numbers were not easy to come by, and some can be contradicted, just as long as we keep our eyes on the ball and remember the law of large numbers. The internet is constantly growing and expanding. New devices are introduced to the public, and each new device takes less and less time to be adopted. Content is the fuel of this amazing engine, and this fuel is made out of mainly creative content. Creative content is the king, and not just data, because data is fuel for some other machines. But and I'm going to prove in the next few minutes how content still is the undisputable king. Culture, content is the key driver for the online market. We can look at this data. You can see more than 37% of internet users use music streaming services. More than 80% of YouTube visitors use it just for music. And if you look at the countries, it's very interesting to see that Brazil is around the biggest places that people use the internet for music. And you can see that in France and Sweden and Great Britain, it's around 86%, and we'll get to that in the next few minutes. And look at the YouTube data and consider this. Cutting the criteria to ages 16 to 24 makes the number jump from 80% to 93%. Okay? In the last few years, we see a constant growth, and if we check the numbers declared by the IFPI and by YouTube themselves, we can feel the extent of the growth. We can see that streaming is up 60% and a bit more, and YouTube user session time increased in 60%, and this is in the last year alone. 37,000 years worth of time were spent watching the top 10 music videos, and the revenue doubled. We'll get to these numbers again soon to really understand how deep and profound this change is. And as I said before, content is the main driver. Let's look at that for a minute. Here, we can see the direct impact of culture content on revenues. The use of culture content is key to attracting and keeping consumers on the platforms. And we know this from analyzing traffic and realizing that videos and music are what attracts the users. You can see the left circle, the video platform means YouTube, etc. The central one, content aggregators, it's Spotify, etc. And social media, Facebook, and so on. With the market growth and development over the last 10 years, an increasing division of the type of services that provide access became apparent. A division that crowned the platform over and above the paid services. This is the difference. And by the way, this is the difference a year ago, because this year the numbers are a bit bigger. Almost 5 billion videos are watched on YouTube every single day. YouTube gets over 30 million visitors per day. And in an average month, 8 out of 10 people between the age of 18 and 49 watch YouTube. By 2025, half of the viewers under the age of 32 will not have subscription to a pay TV service. The average number of mobile YouTube video views per day is 1 billion. And right now, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, with the current estimation of 1.3 billion users. It's not 800, it's 1.3 billion. So we can establish the direction and how steep the curve is. But now let's see if there is a correlation with the money. Here we can see data from 3 countries, UK, France, and Sweden. The highest column, of course, is the revenue from internet. Wait, no, my bad. It's TV and radio. The 2 flimsy columns on the right of each big one are subscriptions and platforms. And this is, my friends, the value gap. A value retained by the platform services instead of going to the content makers. It makes 7.2% of all revenues for content makers. It creates an inefficient market, a place where most of the revenue is not shared properly with content makers that need to make do with the scraps off the industry's table. So can we do something to change this? Should we do something? Should we let the market balance itself? One direction is talking to you about revenue sharing and distribution. How many of you are musicians? Okay, so you are not my crowd for this. I built this conversation thinking there will be more tech guys here, but nevertheless, I hope the word will get to them. So if you are there somewhere, be more fair. Yeah. Another direction is worldwide legislation, where the EU takes the lead in Europe and influence also the UN and UNESCO. And this is already happening. In summer 2017, which is right now, there are debates and there are a few conversations in the EU about creating an infrastructures of laws, international laws, to make it a little bit better. But if nothing will happen, the gap will widen and the transfer will increase. As in most of my lectures, I raise more questions than answers, and this is because law and policymakers are 10 years behind real-time developments, and not just in the music business. So, thank you for your time and interest, and if you would like to talk to me more about those things, I'm right here. Thank you.
Yeah.